Agile software delivery for physical products is tough, especially for a company that had Waterfall working for them for so long. To unite the development of embedded software, robotics and machine learning algorithms, mobile apps, and backend cloud services, can you really orchestrate the synchronization like a well-oiled machine? Our speaker manages the software development of Dyson's environmental care technology portfolio. Please welcome, Senior Product Owner at Dyson, Mr. Dino Yu.
Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay, all right. I think we're good to go. All right, so good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. This is actually my first time to talk at SoftCon. I had attended a lot of SoftCon sessions way back 2019. So again, welcome everyone. And I appreciate that you took interest in what I'm about to present this morning. And it's all about how to make lean software thrive in the world of electromechanical product delivery. So Dyson is all about physical products, right? When I first thought of this topic, I was thrilled to create this title, but then my peers told me to, you know what, that's not really catchy at all. So Gen Z things. So I had to change it. It should be the same. It's using Agile for things that aren't just software. Okay, so what is it all about? Let's talk about Dyson first. So Dyson in numbers. So we have about 100 million plus Dyson product owners. So, and we have over 6,000 engineers and scientists with over a million plus connected products, where we get the usage and product data, serve it back to the backend cloud services, and reach our customers through our My Dyson app, or previously the Dyson Link app. So all their product data are right within their fingertips. And also, we are operating on 84 markets with 33 sites, 33 countries, so 180 Dyson sites in 33 countries, and we are producing roughly one Dyson motor and Dyson machine manufactured every 2 seconds. So imagine how ginormous the Dyson operates, right? So how do we deal with this? So it's a huge enterprise of product delivery. First of all, I wanted you to gain an insight of what Dyson really is. So we are determined to be number one in everything that we do. So we are focused on solving the problems that most of our competitors or even our customers have ignored. So we are solving them using our technology and ingenuity. So how do we do that? How do we achieve that? We wanted to pioneer technologies that are different and authentic. Customers may not want it right now, but they will just find themselves, you know what, this is the thing that I actually need. And this is the core of what we do. And it's just who we are. Okay, so we strive to create a future every single day by developing new things. So things that go against the grain with a diverse and global team of ingenious minds. So even if the naysayers may say, you know what, this is a ridiculous product, but over time it gets adopted, and it gets adopted really fast. So we have been successful in creating physical products. Our vacuum works with just a click of a button. You start cleaning, click that same button, and then poof, you stop your cleaning session. But that works without the software. So they have been successful for quite a number of years, but it is really time to evolve, especially when you have an insatiable appetite, an insatiable range of ideas that are coming from customers and engineers who are also users of our products. Okay, so once we have entered the world of embedded software, we've managed to infiltrate, the way Dyson creates physical products, But we found ourselves in the middle immediately. All mechanical systems, acoustics, our sensors, cloud and mobile apps, the product materials that we use, filtration, cloud and connectivity, batteries and power electronics, we have been put in the middle. So we had to make sure that we are ready. So our biggest challenge as a neophyte organization is, how do we interface with them? You're like a Gen Z interfacing with millennials and baby boomers. So it's a waterfall world of multidiscipline product development, and it had worked for over a decade for Dyson. So even if we become successful the first time, how can we make sure that we can replicate that success, and scale together as a software team that operates globally? So previously, when the software team joined the Dyson product development, the delivery gates had been working for them. So at first, you know what, this won't work. If we wanted to deliver software, we had to veer away from milestones or gates, software gates. However, we cannot escape it. But then we realized, you know what, this would work, because it helps answer the questions for us. Have we learned what we needed to learn the last time that we met en masse? Have we learned enough from the last gate? If we need to change direction or not? If it's viable to pursue this direction for a longer period of time or not? And say, for example, we change the direction. Will that new direction help us validate our collective hypotheses together? So just for illustration, we have the Dyson Supersonic here. As you can see, Dyson had been creating in multiple iterations of the product. So our hardware development team had been doing rapid prototyping for a number of years. And we had to go inside, since it's going to be software that's controlling the product. And not to mention, we have the mobile app and the backend cloud services, getting all those data. Okay. So actually, it's a balancing act, really, and it's a very tough one, since our software teams, the software culture is a different one than what you have in the manufacturing, the hardware product development, the sensor development. We also have scientists in our group. It's a different culture in its entirety. So our software teams wanted autonomy. So we think that our software teams will be able to move quickly and react with whatever direction they get pulled in, and they would be owning the quality of what they're delivering. However, if we give them complete autonomy, that would be chaos, really. So at the end of the day, it's gonna be, what, we're not yet done. Just stay put, you wait for this, and then once we're ready, we integrate the entire system, and boom, it doesn't work. So it will, as always, it gets harder to integrate the work from completely autonomous teams to get the features out, and that the timing that the business needs, which is far more important, since that would determine still the viability of the product. So still, we wanted and we needed to validate our hypothesis, but in between teams, we wanted to make sure that we have something to introduce to our internal customers, the ones who would validate our assumptions, and also have our willing external customers to do some home trials and see if, what, did we get this correctly? What, are we would you want this? Would you buy this? So that we can iterate fast. And not to mention, Dyson is a global company, right? So we're operating in 33 countries, and we have 84 global sites. Now we have research and development sites in UK. We We have several in the UK. We have one in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We have some in. We have a center at Shanghai, and we have several technology centers in Singapore and Malaysia. And very recently, we're starting to ramp up the Philippines software lab. So you might have got a wind of the investment that Dyson is making on our campus, because we are really really serious about expanding in the Philippines. So collaboration across time zones, that's a lot of big opportunities, but it doesn't come free. So it does come with huge challenges. So how do we get together? That's the first thing that we wanted to solve. So there's no escaping it. We needed to transform. So at first, we introduced Agile in the waterfall world of Dyson. Why? So why did we need to be agile in the first place? The product development works. You know what? Don't change it. If it isn't broken, why do you have to even lift the page and try to revisit what's in it, right? So this is a quote that I've always been fascinated about. There's nothing more wasteful than brilliantly engineering a product that doesn't sell, or a project that doesn't even matter. So I've had my fair share of experiences like this. Like we've spent countless hours developing a product, and then it took us over a year and a half, and then all of a sudden the market changed, and we cannot sell it anymore. There's nobody willing to buy that expensive product. So we ended up, some of the pieces of the product, we ended up shelving them for the future, and some of the portions of the product we ended up offering them for free. So that was a really really hard thing to deal with. So we had to learn from that. But before we can do that, let's go back to basics. So for the waterfall, I'm pretty sure software development professionals in the call, you would agree with me that the waterfall works. It just works, right? But in the modern times, in the modern digital age, it won't. It might work, but it won't work all the time, and it won't work very efficiently. Why? Because we have sequential work assigned to multiple teams. So we are working in silos. They are short-lived. So we determine the project, we determine the release timeline, and then you only have the value delivered in a big bang fashion right at the very end. And if you get lucky, the quality, the test plan that the test team had pulled together, they would just be cut and cut and cut, and some of the test cases would be descoped. We can deal with them after we release. And sometimes, if you're also lucky, the requirements may be changed, and may have the requirements that have been passed on from one team to another would have changed over time. However, in Agile Scrum, we yes, we are still dealing with a lot of requirements, but we are analyzing them into bits and pieces that we can understand and we can formulate hypotheses on. So a slice of that work, or a validation of hypothesis, can be assigned to a multi-skilled team. It's a cross-functional, self-organizing, and long-lived team. So they will just be there. Relationships have been built. Technical skills have been shared within the team. So you're pretty sure that they're ready to accept whatever work is ready for them to churn. And there are mini releases of value every sprint. So every 2 weeks, however long the iteration is, you're almost entirely sure that you will see something at the end of that sprint. And also, if we determine for a specific set of product requirements, we can cut and say this, you know what, this is good to be a minimum viable product, and we can share it to willing customers for home trial, our internal stakeholders, and see if, are we good? Did we get it correctly? And are we good to pursue the remaining part of the product development, release can be done whenever a certain set of features or a certain set of scope has been met. And you're pretty much sure that quality is assured every iteration or every sprint. Okay, so we're talking about delivery timeline. Let's talk about value delivery. So in Waterfall, this is an example that I always give to whenever I do the agile trainings. So in Waterfall, imagine that you're delivering a cake. A customer wants a cake. So the customer says, I want a cake, a three-tier cake. Uh, no specifics on the chiffon, no specifics on the icing. I just want it to be a red cake with three candles, three or four candles. You decide. So it's the teams who are very much champions of creative baking chiffon. They will do their work. They will do their magic. The teams who are assigned to formulate the icing, they will do their magic, and procurement team who is responsible to deliver the candles, to find the right candles, and then after that, we're ready. Customer, here's your cake. But on that time frame, the customer may have changed his or her mind. You know what? I wanted the chocolate cake, but let them do the development. It's okay. And then after that, if you're gonna be lucky, they would say, why did you build a three-tier cake? I wanted a cake that has a wider base, and you know what? And it's gonna be like it looks like a stairs or something, and I want it to be grand, not only three candles. So essentially, fixing bugs is really really costly because you have to go back. Okay, but and also if you ran out of time, test folks, cut the time there. We're good to release. But in Agile Scrum, the feedback loop is shorter because you should be able to formulate a good slice of value delivery first to validate your hypothesis, and then once you're ready to present something, you put it in front of the customer. Is this what you want? This is just a representation. I know this is a cupcake, but is this the right flavor? Is this the right texture of the cake? Is this the right color of the candle? And then after that, the requirements can be adjusted so that the teams who would be working on that product up to the realization of the whole product would be informed that there's a slight change in direction. We're not going with a plain three-tier cake. The customer wants it to be layered or something like that. Sorry, I don't know anything more about cakes, but anyway, you get the idea, right? Um, and fixing bugs is cheaper because you would be able to do a change in direction every step of the way. Hence, you're delivering a delightful, usable, valuable, and a feasible product to the customer. Okay, I know for sure that most, if not all, of the attendees here have seen the Agile Manifesto. So back in 2001, Martin Fowler and the rest of the guys, you know what? They had their ski vacation, and then they got together and thought about how do we make sure that we are gonna be staying innovative and trailblazing, and we wanted to share that knowledge to all software development professionals alike. So they came up with the Agile Manifesto. This is individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, and responding to change over following a plan. So even though there's a value in the left, we don't discount the value of the ones on the right. So if push comes to shove, we do the ones on the left, but we don't set aside the ones on the right. So we still, yes, we do need to provide the working software, but a working software doesn't work if, say, for example, another team would have to maintain that software and there's no there's no documentation at all. That's bad. That's a bad practice. And also customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Even if you keep on pushing for something, for a requirement that won't really work, you know for a fact that it won't really work. You have to collaborate with the customer and see where you can meet, which point you can meet at. So it's customer collaboration over contract negotiation. And we need to make sure that we are really responding to change. Otherwise, we're going to be chewed by insatiable customer requirements, and that that just changes over time. Okay, so these were our guiding principles. And also, as you can see on the left, the waterfall roles. This is what we had previously in Dyson. So we have the product marketing, we have the software development team when we first entered the scene. We have our test team, the system verification, product verification. We have the architecture and the previously we don't have a UX team because it's just a push of the button, right? So we have the architecture team, and when the software team entered the scene, we also had our CI/CD, infra, and DevOps team come with us, and the usual group of engineers, hardcore scientists, the hardware, sensors, and the manufacturing team that we all had to work with, not only in the beginning but also towards the end of the product delivery. While in Agile, we have a little bit of everything in every Scrum team. So we have some of our Scrum teams have product owners that came from the product marketing, so Scrum Master that came from the software team, and we also have testers and architecture and infrastructure members that takes care of our infrastructure needs. When we set this up in the first time, we made sure that we have a little bit of flavor from everything. And then as we grew our teams, we started with about two. As we grow our teams, we realized that these autonomous teams have become cross-functional in a way that within the team they were sharing best practices. So essentially, we came to a point that all the developers would have some knowledge on the CI/CD. All the developers would know how to do the right architecture, and so on and so forth. So we also had to select the right length of increment, because you know what, if you do a monthly increment, you may have missed some opportunity to validate your hypothesis. If you do it weekly, you're just tiring the teams out. And we had to find the right increment, and we chose 2 weeks sprints. So we have the socialization. The teams would plan the requirements, and then the teams would also do backlog grooming to make sure that the slice of work is ready for consumption and development. We do daily scrum, we do daily stand-up to make sure that we don't have any hiccups, we don't have any problems. Any impediments would have to be dealt with by the scrum master with the help of the development teams and the product owner. And we have the sprint review to showcase what we have accomplished. And if we're ready, we release it. But most of the time, it gets released to, like an integration branch, to make sure that that integration branch has been tested and ready for release, if in case we will have scheduled home trials and such. And then after that, we do retrospective. How did we fare in the last 2 weeks? Did we achieve what we have set out to achieve? Did we have some impediments that we ignored? And we know that would slow us down in the next sprints. So the key is, for that Scrum team, we have the product owner, Scrum Master, or the team coach. This is very, very important for the Scrum Master to be the team coach, and then the development team. So nobody is more important than the other. So everyone is important within the team. Okay. So how do we do that? How do we execute the sprint? So if it's essentially a cycle. We start with a set of requirements that are ready and have been spelled out in your famous Atlassian suite, like the Jira, your Azure DevOps or TFS, Team Foundation Server. You spell this out. Even if you don't have that infrastructure, you spell it out in post-it notes. I do believe that 3M took the opportunity to create that business due to the agile Scrum methodology. But yeah, anyway, so you spell those the specific work that needs to be done, and then you make sure that this work is transparent to everyone and had been prioritized and make sure that they are ready. So that backlog is prepared, and then user stories and enabler stories, if needed, to make sure that the teams are equipped on dealing with the user stories. And then once that's done, we take it out into sprints, and then towards the end of the sprint, we demonstrate to the stakeholders and get feedback. And then every other feedback gets fed back to the backlog. Okay, so as you can see, we have the product side of things. We also have the business requirements. We have the manufacturing and tooling. So anything that gets fed that would help build the product, it gets into the backlog. It's the product manager and the product owner's job to make sure that this backlog is transparent, ready, and prioritized, and well understood by the development team. So how do we do that exactly? I won't be able to share with you how our DevOps and CI are set up, but in essence, this is the continuously code and test. Our developers, our magnificent developers, do their magic to come up with a code, and then it gets committed. Some of the related code gets in on a branch, and then we build it, we run through the unit test, and we have some integration tests. The key here is the CI pipeline. So this is we have our teams were able to come up with a very sophisticated CI pipeline that enabled us to deliver, integrate, and get feedback incrementally. Okay, so we've been successful. So we were able to do it in the purifier business. So we are successful with Agile now. Yay. Okay, congrats. Now we have multiple products on the way, multiple iterations of hardware and components, not to mention the previous problem of global chip shortage. And the business wants us to scale. The business wants us to scale to be able to accept this new product lines that we're going to be working on. So how do we scale the success? And how do we scale and grow rapidly globally? So we were reminded that something that works for a team of 8 does not necessarily work for a large team of 100. So in true to the Dyson fashion, since we are pioneering, we needed to pivot fast. So we wanted to make sure that as our talent acquisition are bringing in more heads, our category folks are bringing in more product ideas, we want to make sure that the software organization is ready to accept those. In comes SAFE. Okay, so SAFE as applied at Dyson. So how did we succeed in Agile, and how did we scale globally? So I'll talk more about SAFE in a sec. So how many of you, maybe show of hands, how many of you have seen this very fascinating diagram? I'm pretty sure Dyson is not the only company that's employing SAFE at the moment in the Philippines. So, but okay, all right. So anyway, we have a lot of when we first saw this diagram, we were debating a lot on what this means, you know. So, but given that we had several trainings, SAFE trainings only for teams. We also had SAFE trainings for product owners, Agile leaders, and we came up to a conclusion that for the teams that are entering SAFE, all that matters at the moment, I repeat, at the moment, is the continuous delivery pipeline. So this is where the art operates. So art being agile release train. So we do agile, the one that I showed you earlier, the 2 week sprints. So we do 5 sprints of 10 weeks in order to do continuous delivery, where we have continuous exploration, continuous integration, and continuous deployment. So the agile release train. So the agile release, imagine that a train is, it's a bullet train, and we need to make sure that the agile release train would deliver the goods, would deliver the products that the customer would want. Okay. But to be able to do that, we need to make sure that we bring in the right teams to the agile release train in order to build, deliver, and support the valuable solutions. So we need to make sure that we have a lot of Scrum teams in place. We need to make sure that we have representatives from the business, our stakeholders, product management, hardware development, quality, testing, compliance standards, since we operate heavily on compliance standards, the operations, where we have the manufacturing and the business development also, and not to mention security, in order to deliver the right solution for our customers. So how does the train move? So the train moves in terms of program increments. So if you would remember the diagram that I showed just a few seconds earlier, um, the continuous delivery pipeline would move, the agile release train would move in the continuous delivery pipeline. But it moves in such a way that it's designed to move very rapidly and then stop, introspect, and then move again. So that movement is called the program increment. So the agile release train, we do 4 development sprints. So imagine 2 weeks per sprint of rapid development. And we churn, so through our Scrum team, we churn that project vision into epics with the help of the product owner, and then make sure that good slices or independent stories are decomposed and then fed back to the backlog, so that the teams would have no problems in understanding how this slice of work relate to the other, and how this slice of work would pan out towards the end of the project. So it's the product owner's responsibility. So we go through planning, implementation, daily scrum, then we review, and then we retrospect. And then afterwards, we do 3 more sprints, and then towards the end, we do the program, the inspect and adapt uh, in our HIP sprint. So we have the hardening, the innovation, and the planning. So what's in the last sprint? So I would say that in some companies, they just call it innovation and planning. But for Dyson, we have it as HIP sprint, where we do some hardening. We also do bug fixes in the 4 development sprints that we have. But if we can improve more on how the product works, then we insert them here. But as much as possible, we don't do that unless, of course, we have a release. What we focus on are the opportunistic changes to infrastructure, and then the Kaizen items. And as much as possible in the HIP sprint, we focus on innovation, because this is this you can assess this as more of a hard stop, I should say, for development. And it's a high time for the developers to stop, rest, introspect, and you know what? We when we were developing this, we thought that we needed a Python training. So this is not just an innovation of the product, but also an innovation and upskilling of your workforce or your Scrum teams. So we execute design thinking sessions, knowledge sharing sessions, company trainings. We also do some hackathons and testathons if we have time. And on the last week of the HIP, we do the planning. So we inspect and adapt. It's a big retrospective rather, with all the Scrum teams involved and all the stakeholders involved to make sure that we are analyzing how did we fare from the previous increment. And we also do system demo to the rest of the organization to showcase our success. Okay, so for the past 2.5 months, this is where we arrived at. So as you can see now, you have this usability requirements ticked off, and our customers would be able to do such and such. And if during the course of the development, our development teams would also come up with common components that can be used by other teams. We also showcase that to make sure that that work is known to the entire organization, and we're not going to be duplicating work along the way. We also do the remaining backlog socialization and refinements, and then come the PI planning. So I mentioned that one of the problem is for us to be able to scale globally and rapidly, and PI planning or program increment planning helps us achieve that. So PI planning is done to lay out the release trains plan for the next 5 sprints. Okay, so imagine you have um, several core groups of engineers and scientists with different disciplines. We also have internal customers such as manufacturing, tooling, sensors, research and development, who are responsible for the development of the product material. So we have a lot on our plate, and PI planning is there to bring us all together, sometimes in one room, and talk what needs to be done in the next increment, and make sure that we are aligned that for the next for the next 10 weeks, this is what we intend to get at towards the end. And by doing this, it would help us reach the next increment where we have this set of features, and hopefully the third or one more increment further away from the future. Okay. So why did we choose SAFe? So um, I asked the previous agile coach in Dyson when we first started SAFe, and he said they were looking for a framework that would work for a global team and a team of more than 20 Scrum teams, while interfacing with a lot of areas within the company. Not only the ones who build the product, but also the ones who are interface directly with the customers or the business. So they looked at this framework. They looked at the scaled agile framework, and they said, "Oh, okay. These are the 10 principles of SAFe. You know what? All of this seems to be like checklists. This is what we want. We wanted to take an economic view. We should be able to develop products with that are viable. Again, I've mentioned earlier, it's just a waste if you engineer a product very carefully, but no one's gonna buy it because it's too costly. And then we have the systems thinking. So it enabled us to not just think of the thing that we are trying to develop, but let us think in a bigger picture. You know what? While developing this particular component, we need to make sure that the sensors team would be able to validate so and so requirements and assume variability, preserve options. So this framework allows us to validate our hypotheses that if something doesn't work, we should have plan A, plan B, plan C. We were also able to build incrementally with fast integrated learning cycles. So every end of the sprint, we were able to learn something from what we have delivered, and take note that what doesn't work, you know what, either throw it into the bin, or let's see if this would help us later on, but we can deal with that later since it's not really slowing us down. And collectively, those incrementally built versions or iterations of the product. We put it in front of the business during milestones where we all get together and do an objective evaluation of what's working at the moment. Is this the right direction that we're pursuing? Otherwise, what's the next step? And then SAFE also allowed us to make value flow without interruptions. Okay, during the PI planning, this is what we wanted to do. 10 weeks after, we're not letting them go. We're not letting the teams go. We just assume we know for a fact that these are teams of experts in their own right, and we just make sure that everything that they need are handled and taken care of. Like the continuous integration, the CI infrastructure, our DevOps system of continuous testing, and then after that, we're operating on a cadence, we're operating on sprints, and we're synchronizing with cross-domain planning during PI planning every 10 weeks. Number 8 is, I think, the most interesting thing for me because I'm closer to the team. I realized that with SAFE, it helped unlock the intrinsic motivation of our knowledge workers. When we started, we are different. We came from different backgrounds, right? And over time, during team sharing, we just realized that, you know what, all of the team members know almost the same level as the experts that we were first consulting before, and the developers built their own knowledge sharing system in terms of communities of practices, and they were able to share this. You might be able to use this type of component. You might be able to use this in our team. We're doing this. We're configuring the infrastructure this way. It might help you. Or if there's a problem that might be applicable to a particular team and might also be applicable to another in the near future and might slow them down, they talk together as a team outside of their development duties. So as you can see, that in a way motivates, that in a way is a perfect example of the teams owning not just what they're developing, but also the entire system. And we were able to decentralize decision making by making sure all the product owners, the project managers, the release train engineers, the scrum masters are all aligned to what the business wants for the next increment, for the next 3 increments, to make sure that everyone, okay, we are gonna be taking this direction for the next 10 weeks. If you have any questions, you raise it now, because we're gonna be validating this hypothesis every so often. And we need to make sure that we are all aligned towards that direction. And number 10, this is also, I think this is new in SAFE 6, or SAFE 5 rather, that we intend to organize around value. So after we were able to unlock the intrinsic motivation of knowledge workers, where we have a really, really excellent cross-functional teams, we were able to organize to the direction that the business wants us to do. We were able to gather teams, even though they're working previously on purifiers. We were able to pivot them fast to another product. So through SAFE, we were able to accomplish all these 10 principles really. So how does the ideas evolve and become work and eventually become product in Dyson Safe? So we have our product managers getting all the ideas and making sure that they're all well understood into our capability backlog. So it's like boulders of ideas there, and then we make sure that they are transformed into features that are easily understood by product owners. So we call that the continuous exploration. And then for our product owners who are very much aligned with our product manager, we do continuous refinement. So we just decompose them into smaller pieces. And then finally, we make sure that they are continuously integrated into our pipeline. Only then that you would be able to release something that is integrated and releasable if you have the continuous integration infra and the architectural runway. And I'm very much delighted that our company was able to invest in that. So just think of it this way. So our initiatives, all the ideas are transformed into features, epics, and user stories, much like a Matryoshka doll. If you're familiar with this, so even the tiniest story would be fed back and then fed back and fed back. And then we can offer, an integrated and releasable product. So how do we do it? So some might disagree, but we also acknowledge what we don't know, and we are okay with it for now because we know that our product owners and product managers are working together with the architecture teams, security teams to make sure that these requirements are refined. We also allow Scrum teams to have freedom in influencing the direction of the product. So you would be fascinated at how ingenious our software engineers are when you give them the freedom to work on their own, as long as we are aligned. And we need to make sure that the work is visible to all the sections of the business. And of course, we are very careful in making sure that we do not prioritize the comfy seats over the engine. So as engineers and designers, we need to make sure that it works first before we add the glow ups, So we wanted to decentralize control because we know and we trust our cross-functional teams to do what's right for the products. So I'd like to leave everyone with this message that especially I'm working with a lot of engineers and scientists in our company. So never tell people how to do things. Just tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. So this applies. So General George Patton said this. This applied to war, and this also applies to software development. So, okay, now we know how to move. We just scaled up what we were doing in every 2 weeks and replicated it in every 10 weeks. So we communicate the technology criteria, the business criteria. After we know the adjusted priorities and direction, we refine all the work, put it in the backlog, develop the roadmap, feed it back to the solution roadmap, and then communicate back to all the sectors of the business. And then we work again on the same fashion. It's just a cycle. So we also do roadmaps rather frequently to make sure that the software organization would be able to is transparent to the rest of the organization that this feature would come out in the next PI or in this PI, and we would be able to determine where to integrate. This allows us to innovate and adapt to ever-changing engineering, security, performance, and usability requirements, because in the middle of the PI, there may be some changes to how the sensor operates. There may be some changes to how the usability requirements would be. Previously, you have a push button, now you have a touch screen. So the safe planning road mapping enables us to adapt to those ever-changing requirements. And again, we're not alone in the business. We're not just software. So we're everything. So I'd like to showcase what we have accomplished so far in Philippines. So up here in the screen is just a testament to how we fared in the previous 2 years. So we were able to release the big and quiet formaldehyde, which is the first large format purifier. So the reception of this is quite huge, and we were able to launch it just last month in the Philippines. We also have the Dyson Air Straight, one of our key hair care products at the market right now. It's our first wet to dry airflow hair straightener. We also have our 360 Visnab robot vacuum. So this is the most powerful robot triple action brush bar engineered for all the floors. So essentially, you would be able to to clean the house with just this robot. And we were in this three. Oh, sorry. Also, the Dyson Wash G1. How can I forget? This is one of the products that I worked on also when I was still in the floor care category. So it's our first dedicated wet cleaner, which follows the success of the Dyson V12S submarine. So in all of this products right here, Filipino engineers, Filipino software engineers, and research engineers were able to take part to a large extent in the development, not just of the software, but also the materials of these products. And also, even if we're just newbies in the company, we were also able to deliver software updates to various Dyson purifier fans, the ones that we are, really known for, and the Dyson Corral. After there was a the global chip shortage fiasco. Okay, so yeah, that's where we are right now after applying SAFE for I think almost 3 years, and I'd like to leave everyone that at Dyson, solving problems is not enough. Um, we really need to do it first, as mentioned by our chief engineer and founder, James Dyson. All right, so I think that's the end of my presentation. Um, any questions from the group? Let me check if I still have.
Thank you, Dino, for that great presentation. Now, before we go to our questions,
Well,
please
stop
watch
sharing.
the video from Dyson on their latest development.
Right. Sorry about that. I lost my audio there.
Oh.
I've watched my father build this business, and I've watched everyone working in it over the last 30 years. And it's moved from a wonderful, exciting mechanical business where products that have huge benefit with physics into a new area very much focused on software and cloud communication and mobile devices, enabling products to do sophisticated things beyond mechanics. Well, I actually think this is still very sci-fi, in its looks, but not necessarily in the way it's controlled. I mean, the cyclone is still an incredible physical phenomenon, but the monitoring and the controls of our latest technologies is just in a different world, in a different generation. Things are moving extremely fast, and what we're able to create is becoming limitless and great, great fun.
10 years ago, there was probably about 50 pure software developers. We're now at about 650 globally.
Software used to be around controlling low-level devices, but now it's absolutely critical in every single function we do.
So we really talk about embedded software, which is all the software that goes on the product itself. We've got app developers, we've got cloud developers, and then we have these layers of software that lives on the product.
We renovated this airport and these hangars for top secret, cutting edge, sort of future projects and technologies that we're working on for Dyson, which really might sort of carve the way to 2030. And we used to have a sort of 5-year outlook, but we're very focused on a 15-year outlook now. And here it's like Fort Knox. I'm allowing you in today because I'm watching you like a hawk. We have a range of products here which you'll recognize Dyson products. 6 years ago, we had the idea of connecting a purifier, and this enables a consumer to monitor the air quality of their home real time. What's happened is that the hundreds of thousands of people that have these products has given us this incredible data.
With all of this data, we can start to map out what's going on around the world.
And Stefan, how many connected purifiers are there out there in the world?
So we have 4 million at the moment.
We have a live track of 4 million purifiers.
Yeah, it's quite useful because we can see these pollution events that happens right now. We're probably the only one in the world that have that functionality of alerting people around sandstorms, wildfires, or anything like that.
Here we've had 200 million requests and messages in the last 24 hours from our machines.
200 million?
In the last 24 hours. That gives you an idea of the kind of scale we're operating at.
So 200 million interactions?
Yes, these are machines sending us information
Right.
and data points.
With the Dyson Zone, we're very, very focused on people's health. And this is connected too, and it's critical that it's connected so the consumer can also see how they're protecting themselves by wearing this device. All we had to do when we launched our first vacuum cleaner back in the early 1990s is turn the motor on. That's all we were doing. And now we'll tell you how much battery life or runtime you've got left. It'll tell you the power mode it's in and what it's adjusted to according to the floor types. It'll tell you when you need to wash your filter. And it will also tell you exactly what dust particles you've picked up and how many you've picked up as you're vacuuming. And when I move over that sugar, you'll see that the particle has been counted on this screen here. All of this has been enabled by a meridian of sensors embedded into the product. The sensing allows us to get a greater performance out of the product to create maximum efficiency and take that control, in a way, out of the consumer's hands. This is probably one of the best examples of the huge advantage for the consumer and the huge advantage to us, that the consumer no longer has to walk around the home vacuuming. The product will do it for them, and we can improve the product and its performance after they've bought it. So imagine a world where the product is fixed within 24 hours or replaced before you even knew there was something wrong with it. We want to take that anxiety away from consumers. We're absolutely, completely disinterested in gimmick or fruitless features. Where the research and technology is taking us and the new ideas we have, this is becoming more ripe, and there are far more benefits for consumers and far more benefits to us as a business. But we need more engineers. We have great plans, great ambitions, and our products are getting more sophisticated. So it's an exciting future.
Wow, so great at what you're doing at Dyson. Hi, Dino. Let's now proceed to our Q&A portion. I have a question here from JC Macam. He said, is there business analyst in Scrum development team?
It depends really. If it's a small scale development team, then yes, there are some organizations set up that way. But if in a typical fashion, we have a set of team that are pure BAs. But again, more and more, we tend to lean on the product owner to make sure that the requirements are understood and refined. That's why some of the business analysts are out of the Scrum teams, and we only have the product owner for the development team to align on. So it actually depends.
Great answer. We also have another question from Maria Rachel Libre. What are the key considerations and strategies for addressing resistance to migrating from a waterfall project management approach to an agile methodology among team members and stakeholders?
Well, the first, I guess, the first and primary um, ingredient would be the support of our business owners. So without their support, then the transformation. I'd like to use the word transformation because that's a different. Waterfall is a different dimension compared to agile. So it's really a transformation of not just one team, but the organization as a whole. So without the support of your business owners, it will be very chaotic. I should say, because we experienced it that way before. We had a lot of attempts to transition into agile, but since the business didn't fully support that, or rather was hesitant in their own right to transform, then it just didn't work. Only when our business owners had fully supported our transformation were we successful in doing so.
Great. Another one from JC Macam. How to eliminate the use business requirement document as prerequisite to Scrum development?
Okay, that's actually a good question. So when we first transitioned in Dyson, we are having loads and loads of requirement documents, right? So as we transform into Agile, our product owners have been equipped with trainings to make sure that they have the key skills to be able to analyze those requirements and transform them into user stories or workable pieces of development that the team can churn. So that way, we were able to still start with a set of business requirement document, but we were able to transform them into usability requirements instead of a bunch and loads of documents. We only have one that are refined to be epics, features, and user stories that the teams can work on. And after that, only after that, that the when the product owner socializes those workable items, that the development team can go in and say, you know what, we can't implement those if we don't do this first. So from there, we also gather ideas and transform them into pieces of work that would eventually create the architectural runway. So you can't avoid the document really. It's a matter of how you convert them into workable items that can be churned later on by the teams.
Okay, great answer. Another question from Kit Australia. What other considerations or adaptations have you made in order for safe or specifically program increment planning meetings to work in your organization?
So again, we needed to make sure that everyone was on board, and they know what the value of safe is before we even started. So that socialization of what the framework is. So we worked with different areas and different disciplines within the organization before we even did our very first PI planning. Because if they're not on board, they would just throw out random milestones at us. You know what? Hey, we need this feature by so and so, even though it's that's not the case. So we needed to make sure that they are aligned on how the cadence work and how we collaborate with how we do cross planning globally. Because if they're not on board, then it's gonna be chaos.
Okay, another question from Alvin Jacob. With regard to business owners adopting Agile from Waterfall, how do you effectively convince these business owners to fully adopt the Agile methodology?
Um, it depends on the business owners really. The Safe had a lot of testaments of success already, so you can start with that. And well, you can also start with the companies that have adopted Agile previously and have been successful in doing so. And also, I think you can do some preliminary sprints, so starting sprints just to simulate the experience and see where you get through. If you are delivering substantial amount or a slice of the software that you intend to deliver towards the end of a supposed 1 year project, then I think you're doing it correctly. And once you show that this slice of work um, fits the requirements or the elements of the requirements, and the quality is assured, then you're on the right direction.
Thank you for that. We also have another question from Isaiah Daniel. How can we effectively manage resistance when transitioning from waterfall to agile in project management?
So the easiest thing to do actually is for those who are espousing the agile methodology within the company, they should be really invested in it. What I'm saying is they need to make sure that they themselves are really knowledgeable on the topic and not just throw some buzzwords out there. You know what? We need to be agile. We need to apply Scrum. You need to be the Scrum Master, and so on and so forth. They need to make sure that they know the principles and the importance of the methodology like the back of their hands. So only then they would be able to put it forward towards their teammates. And there are a lot of Scrum and Agile trainings out there. We have a lot of providers in the Philippines and international providers also that would be able to cater such topics. And I'm pretty sure that when you hold those trainings, um, they would be open to the beauty of Agile delivery.
Thank you for that, sir. And for our last question from Sir Ronaldo, is it true that SAFE is highly bureaucratic and is quite opposite of everything the Agile movement stands for?
No, no. I have to disagree with that. Safe, in our case, the business owners are really, really invested in what we do as a software organization that's interfacing with everyone in the business. So they know, and they fully support how we do the cadence of development. And uh, I think in pretty much in the success that we were able to meet, I don't think I've experienced the bureaucracy really, because locally my product manager is in the UK, so I'm pretty much empowered to do not whatever I want, but I'm empowered to do the right thing. So yeah, so I respectfully disagree, I should say.
Thank you so much, Sir Dino, for answering the questions. Now, in case you guys still have questions, feel free to chat with our speaker on Hermit Lounge. And so before letting you go, sir, may we ask for a quick photo op?
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. That's all the time we have for this session. So again, let's thank our speaker, Mr. Dino Yu from Dyson, by clicking on the heart or clapping emojis.
Yep.
To our audience,
Thanks,
please
everyone.
To our audience, please exit the session and click on the next. Bye, everyone.